Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time zone that you happen to find yourselves in. It is a sincere pleasure that I get to introduce everyone to XRP Joe. He is in California and I'm in North Carolina. So we got a little bit of a time difference between us. But I'm going to just introduce him and let him tell his XRP crypto story. And I'll ask a few questions as I'm curious along the way. And I'd like to warmly introduce XRP Joe to the XRP Army News audience.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. Little intimidated after watching your last interview. That guy had such a wealth of knowledge, and me being a history buff myself, I'm definitely going to go back and I'm going to be watching that video several times, I'm sure, just to get all of the details that Mr. Hockett was talking about there.
Let me break in real quick. If it'll help you at all, I'll help show you one of my props and see what a professional production this is. It's the Superman Pez dispenser.
Okay, yeah.
When I am trying to pick out my favorite video for the week, Superman Pez dispenser is one of my judges. So hopefully that'll help put you at ease about the level of professionalism and the desire for authenticity. So I'm about as real as a real person can get. So hopefully that'll help you feel at ease. And I'm just interested in finding more out about you and how you found your way into crypto and XRP.
And you know what? I do feel at ease, Scott. In our talk before we went live here, everybody needs to know this guy is just a great guy. He really, really is just a down-to-earth dude. So yeah, as Scott mentioned, I do live in California. I live on the Central Coast in a little town called Nipomo. If you're not familiar with that, most people are more familiar with Pismo Beach area. And if you're not familiar with that, just look between Monterey and Santa Barbara, and we're somewhere right there. I do appreciate the accommodation of the time zone differences here, Scott. I know that you were trying to get an earlier time in, but as I mentioned to Scott before, I still work a 40-hour-a-week job and trying to get as much of this in as possible. So I'm very grateful to be here. As far as my crypto story goes, I've always done research. I've always kind of had a research-based mentality. When something interests me, I kind of start diving into it pretty extensively. And I was doing a lot of research on ancient history, as Scott and I were discussing, that we kind of have similar interests in as well. I at that point stumbled across a series called London Real that's on YouTube here, and Tika Tiwari was on there, and he was talking about these 5 coins to $5 million. And as I said to Scott before, the presentation of the whole thing, as I'm sure Tika Tiwari is a fantastic trader and knows a ton about what he's talking about. I didn't necessarily go looking for what 5 coins is he talking about. It just sparked my interest more to just what's going on in this asset class. And so when I started looking for market fundamentals. I don't have any trading experience. I don't have any chart analyzing experience. So the only thing I could relate to is who's making moves and what kind of partnerships are they making and what kind of moves are they making, and are they long-term moves, or is it something that they're just trying to flash up in front of us and go, hey, looky here, this is cool. I'm in my 40s. I don't care about cool. I care about real. I care about what's real, and what makes sense to me. And once I started looking at the partnerships within the Ripple community and within the Ripple ecosystem, it was almost a no-brainer to just keep looking, and I couldn't stop looking. I wish that I could just quit my job and just research all day, every day. Unfortunately, I can't do that yet.
Well,
But
I think I agree with you, Joe, and I also I like to look at what the value proposition is by what problem that they're setting out to solve, and
absolutely.
I think that's one of the reasons why I am so excited about being involved with XRP and looking forward to the IPO for Ripple when it comes out, because when I was able to understand and take a look at the 40-year-old technology that the world's payment systems are working on with SWIFT, the fact that it is slow on the settlement, the fact that there is super expensive, and the fact that there's a 6% error rate. I mean, I love my phone, and if my phone failed 6 out of every 100 calls, I'd go be finding me another phone provider.
You'd be going nuts.
Everybody would. And so again, the value proposition, and then like you said, the the people behind the company, the people running it, the Brad Garlinghouse, David Schwartz, Stuart Alderati. I mean, these are very accomplished, very smart people, and I like that.
Yeah, and these are another thing I like, and I'm glad you touched on that, is these are people that don't say things just off the top of their heads. When they say something at a press conference or at a seminar or at a presentation of any kind, people like Brad Garlinghouse, people like David Schwartz, people like Chris Larson, people like Christine Lagarde, they don't throw out terms like level playing field, and they don't say things without having carefully thought it through before they go to these events. They know what they're going to say without a doubt before they go. So that's one thing. And when I hear such positive information coming out of them and such long-term goals, and like you said, the problem they're solving, how many people on this planet are underbanked? Right?
3.5 billion approximately.
Yeah, exactly. That is a huge market just by itself. Let's not even talk about the derivatives market. I mean, it's insane where this can go.
Well, and let me correct that for a second. I think that it's actually 3.5 billion that are unbanked.
Unbanked,
and
yeah.
And the underbanked, I'm not even sure how big that number is.
I knew
we're so spoiled in the United States. We just grow up and think a bank account is just something that is part of a rite of passage. We don't recognize that there are entire countries that are not, that's not even any part of their reality at all.
Yeah. And imagine if, like, okay, I get my direct deposit to my bank, right? From my payroll. They take taxes out. Sure. That's one thing, right? But imagine if, in order to get my check from my money from my bank now, if I had to pay 10%, which is what some of these folks have to pay, 20% of a fee to get my money, right?
Right.
That's for my pay. Some people in some of these areas like Indonesia, Thailand, those underbanked and unbanked people, that's what they have to go through until Ripple and until the green light and until XRP flows through the system freely like it needs to.
Well, do you have, that Brad Garlinghouse talked about a year ago, saying that this was a marathon, not a sprint. He felt like we were around the 3 or 4 mile journey or part of that marathon. Do you feel like that, since you've been doing your research, do you have any kind of a feel for where you feel like we are in that marathon now? How much closer we may be getting to the finish line?
What I can compare it to would be the .com boom, because I was in my young to mid 20s about the time, teens, going through 20s about the time that all happened. And looking at the progression that occurred through that and the rate of progression. And yes, we're talking about going from the internet, or basically paper data, to the internet of data at that time. And now we're talking about going from paper money to the internet of money, or the internet of value, paper value to the internet of value. Yeah. I mean, I can't argue with the guy who I just said is an expert on what he does and doesn't say anything without thinking it through, right? Obviously. But yeah, it does also appear to me that, yeah, we're at the beginning stages of the go, right? Okay. It's starting to appear to me that enough testing has been done. Now they need to start rolling out while they still watch it, keep everything, like the DTC or the DTCC is looking at taking a system that they've been running as a simulation, which is the DLT, the distributed ledger technology. They've been running as a simulation for 2 years, since 2018, alongside their traditional system, where they're handling $250 billion. Okay. And their plan is to then integrate the distributed ledger technology, but still have that traditional backup in case there's any problems. So yeah, I do see that. Yeah, it's all happening, but we are at the beginning stages of this, and even going into the market cycle, the bull run market cycles that we traditionally have. You've got time frames, the analysts look at all of that. Everything as far as that goes still really doesn't indicate that we're going to see anything truly significant as far as price action until the beginning of next year, going into 2021. I have heard recently, I think it was DIY Investing, talking about we are going to see some bull run price action shortly. That's the anticipation. But by the end of this year, 2020, maybe $1 XRP, maybe $5 XRP, but I don't see it really getting into any of those high price range markets until there's been some testing in those smaller areas.
Well, the thing that I found the most interesting is I don't know if you look at it every day. I look at it every day, a couple of times a day. Fiat leak, and that Mexico U.S. corridor just keeps humming and humming and humming and humming. And now it looks like we've got some stuff now beginning to go up to Asia pretty regularly now, I think.
I just want to know. I just want to know, why is MoneyGram holding back so much?
I think they're having to try and make sure that they've got the relationships built with those and have the corridor ready to go. But yes, I wonder that too. I wonder what is with when they have been doing the U.S. to Mexico corridor so efficiently, and
for
it's
6 months now.
Without a doubt, saving MoneyGram money, saving
error-free, by the way.
Right,
error-free, by the way.
That's my point, Joe. What are they waiting on? If isn't that a good enough use case to go ahead and start opening it up? So
I don't want to get into conspiracy theory type stuff, but it's just weird. It's just weird. It's a proven method, and why even MoneyGram wouldn't just go, okay? Because the way I understand the 5 or 6 or however many corridors that they're running through right now, it's only 10% of the volume is running through ODL of those corridors. Okay, so that's fine. They have 22,000 corridors. Run the 10% through the 22,000 corridors. That's all I'm saying.
And the did you watch To the Lifeboat, Sam I Am's video on when Tone Vays and those guys were talking about what the problem was with, or what it was a discussion, and then they got off on XRP, and those guys in there didn't have any idea what it was all about.
Yes, because he was laughing. Yes, the one where he was just sitting there laughing, going, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, making fun of them all. Well, one of the guys that was in there that was talking positively about XRP was Jose, who is in charge of Bitso. And he was talking about the incremental. First, they were 5%, then that grew to 8%. By the end of the year, they're looking to be 10% of the remittances back to Mexico. Well, again, if it's working, why not just open it up? And another thing that I look at is the pressure on the worldwide economic system. I am a big fan of Brad Kimes, great guy. He's the first guy we ever interviewed. And I consider Brad to be a friend and a great guy. And and I like his pre-allocation theory. The IMF has 181 members. Ripple's got 54 billion XRP handed out to all these people. Make the price $1,000 in XRP, and wow, we have taken care of the debt problem right now. Let's go.
But I say set it at 2,000.
Yeah, how bad does it? Yeah, I like that. How bad does it have to get in the worldwide economy before they go ahead and say, okay, I think everybody is scared enough about what's going on right now. Let's go ahead and do it.
Yeah, well, I think that's the $1 trillion question. How bad does it have to get, right? But yeah, back to Brad Kimes. I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to say, but yes, I love him too. Brad Kimes is awesome. I love him. Come on in. That guy's cool.
And Mrs. Backup.
Yes, Mrs. Backup. Yeah, but more importantly, is the community that they've put together in their chats. I don't know if you're familiar with Crypto Siege.
Yes.
Great dude. There are so many all of these channels within the XRP community. Alex Cobb, to the lifeboats, Moon Lambo. Well, Moon Lambo doesn't do live.
Not live, but yeah,
but I love him. But I love Moon Lambo too.
Yeah, I like.
But when you get in these chats, these live stream chats, there are so many smart people in those chats. Some of these people, I'm thinking, God, these people need to make their own YouTube channels too. Like Wen Mullet. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yes.
TJ Jackson.
Joni Gullbrunson, one of my favorite people that I got to meet, and her husband Steve, just top-notch, wonderful people. We can't leave out, and he doesn't do live streams either, but we can't leave out one of my favorites, the Bearable Bull.
The Bearable Bull, yes.
I get a dose of aggressively average content every day.
Well, I wake up at 4 a.m. and because he's on the East Coast, that's he's usually posted like an hour or two before I wake up. And so when I wake up and I'm getting ready for work, the Bearable Bull is just right there on, propped up on my mirror so that I can watch it and get ready, for my day. And
whatever time I end up waking up, his is always the one that's already up there. If I wake up at 6 a.m. on the East, he's already posted something. I'm not sure what kind of sleep cycle he's on, but we are very, 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 very fortunate. And also, not to leave out Mickey B. Fresh, not to leave out Cryptopolis.
Yes. Galgatron.
Amazing. Galgatron.
Yeah.
Amazing people. DAI, one of my favorites as well, being a good old Georgia boy.
Yes, I love the beginnings of his videos too, where he gives these little family related anecdotes and then he goes into the content. I love that.
I do. I love hearing about his boys in the baseball and does my 7-year-old. I love it when he says, "Does my 7-year-old need to draw you a picture?"
Well, some of the conversations I've seen on Twitter, and I won't say which digital asset it's related to, but they do need 7-year-olds to draw pictures for them. Sometimes I'm just like, are you serious? It's a simple concept.
I know, and I think that there are people that are heavily, big time influencers with huge followings and don't even understand that Ripple is a company that creates software for the banks, and XRP is the utility token that they created that works best with their software.
Yeah, I mean, I love when people go, yes, I love when people say, "Hey, did you see your Ripple still at 20 cents?"
Yeah, I know.
Like my what?
Yeah, I know.
My what?
Yeah, what? So you feel like, again, on the 26-mile romp that we're going down, do you feel like that the beer cold sped that up, or do you think that but you said you felt like DIY investing said that we're looking at maybe the end of the year at $1, $5 before some bigger movement up?
Yeah. I think that the beer cold definitely was needed to, or helps. I'm sorry. Let me word this very carefully. I think the beer cold has helped helped the financial situation
Yeah.
look like it was unavoidable because this thing was coming, you know.
Yep. Yep.
And you know, a lot of us do have the viewpoint and you know, I actually think I'm right too, and I think a lot of us, you know, that think the same way are right. This market crash was coming the first quarter of 2020, regardless of whether or not this beer cold was here. But everybody in my community is under the impression, including a guy that I gave a warning to pull his stuff out of the traditional markets and move it to precious metals and digital assets, at least for the meantime, just to hedge it. He thought I was nuts and acted like I was wearing a tinfoil hat. He is down about $135,000, right?
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's.
I know. But if people can go back, the repo madness actually started September 17th. And another guy that I like to watch, but I don't know what he's got against XRP, is a guy named Bix Weir. And I'll never forget, he nailed it the exact day that it started.
Wow.
September 17th. I'll never forget it. That's when the repo madness started. And it started out like, oh, okay, they just gave a bunch of money and the banks, you know, they're
every night. Yeah.
They're 10%. They're not going to loan each other any money. They're all broke. Now they got to go to the Fed, to the repo desk, and they don't like to go there because then the other central banks look at them and go, oh, you're having to borrow money from the Fed desk. Oh, you must be in trouble. And that's why the central banks don't like to do it. They like to borrow it from each other, but they were all so broke that they raised the interest rates up to 10%. Well, and then it was supposed to only be 3 days. And then it moved it to 2 weeks. And then they just started rolling it over. So it's an indefinite loan with no, you know, it's just
wash it off.
But yes, it all started September 2019, had nothing to do. And the derivative problem, Deutsche Bank was $49 trillion in derivative debt before anything to do with the beer cold. I mean, it was all getting ready to collapse anyway. So again, that's why I'm not sure what they're waiting on. Just go ahead and flip the switch. And I like Brad's pre-allocation theory where they can just have the IMF say, hey, here's your new currency, and then set the price they need to wipe out all the debt and do a debt jubilee, and let's all get started in the new asset class moving forward in human history.
And maybe that's one of the things that's just taking so much time is, I mean, I can only imagine being behind the doors in one of the rooms, having one of the conversations with the people that make these decisions, right? It can't come very easily for them to just go, all right. And then, because we're talking about a paradigm shift here. There has got to be control of this in a centralized way, almost like I don't want to compare it to any type of a conspiracy theory type of a thing, but what am I trying to? Well, anyway, it's just.
Well, I think that personally, I believe that there are a set of families, the Bilderbergs, or I don't know if you've ever seen something called the Trilateral Commission.
I have. I'm familiar with some of, and I also,
you know who is a member of the Trilateral Commission?
Yeah, I know who you're gonna say. The guy who didn't kill himself.
Yeah, dude,
I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So there's a lot of there's a lot of disinformation. There's a lot of misinformation, as with any topic that is this large, right? And then you've got the actual facts that are out there, and then you've got for some reason, it seems a holdback of information. And
Yeah, Jody, go ahead.
well, I was going to say, it really comes to light to me when I see all these different clips of Christine Lagarde says everything she can about Ripple, but never says Ripple or XRP.
Yeah. Yep.
Everybody who is in Stephen Mnuchin, when he talks about what needs to come, how we need to do this, he's describing the RippleNet technology. He's describing distributed ledger technology as far as the solutions that it will handle. But nobody ever says Ripple or XRP. So it's just very suspicious to me that.
And he brings on Brian Brooks, who worked at Coinbase as the comptroller of the currency. I mean, what do you think Brian Brooks knows all about? I mean, I think the guy's pretty digital asset savvy.
Yeah. So it just, like you said, what are they waiting for? Let's just get this thing rolling. Let's get it going. Why it's not happening, I wish I was behind those doors and in those conversations. Obviously, I'm never going to be, but.
Well, Joe, how about the debacle of the stimulus money that they gave out? And now today we saw that they're going to hand out prepaid debit cards to us all, right? But
well, I think the prepaid debit cards, if I'm not mistaken, are going. That's to play catch up in some way, and also because they're still not reaching a lot of people that didn't have bank accounts.
Yeah.
So I think that has to do with that area of the stimulus and those people that it's directed to. I could be wrong, but that's what I heard today. Well,
I got you, and I appreciate that if you're more up to date on the details of that. Having said that, if they go with round 2, then the people that have the debit cards will already have it in place. So I think they can, it'll be able to help set that up. But it just seems to me like, just get us all an account with, I don't know, Bread Wallet. Get us all an account with Coinbase, with somebody. Get us a digital wallet and let's go.
I was thinking just the U.S. digital dollar wallet, but it's not going to happen because I think they have other plans. But what I would have liked to have seen in the very first stimulus payout was everybody download your digital dollar wallet, log in with your federal tax ID information. Right there, you're issued one XRP. That XRP is worth $1,200. Right. And then everybody walks around going, hey, look, I have one XRP. I have one XRP. And then all of us would go, hey, I have so many thousand XRP. And they go, how'd you get that? And I'd go, well, I got it when it was 16 cents. And they'd go, it was 16 cents? We would have all had those conversations. But I think they have other plans for the digital dollar. And I'm not sure, but it kind of appears that Visa is going to be involved in some way. That it looked like the other day. Again, I only have like so much time to absorb this information, and it's like I have to, still working 40 hours a week. Just
I think a lot of it may come and rise out of the East because I'm, the more that I hear DAI finding great information for us, it seems like that SBI is so connected, and now they've got Red Wallet. And New York Bank of Mellon is one of their investors, and they're just all, seems like that they're all kind of interconnected between each other. So I think that we may see a big push from this from Asia, from Japan. So
Asia is leading. Yeah, Asia is leading this at least in an acknowledged way. If the United States is making big moves, it's behind the scenes, and we're not seeing it. Asia is right out there. They're changing bans that they've previously placed, which is big. I mean, that's changing your whole perspective on. That's your government changing its perspective on how it sees something, and then moving forward with it.
Joe, I think they need to make sure that they, keep up with it, because I don't think China is laying down. I think China
Yeah.
is roaring to go.
Yeah.
And I saw one statistic today: 52% of the hash rate for Bitcoin is coming out of China. And I know
Yeah.
they got mining farms in America getting ready to start up in Texas. I get all of that. But I've heard even as high as 61% of the Bitcoin is mined in China. So I don't know if China is betting on Bitcoin, but I don't believe Donald Trump is ever going to end up warming up to the Bitcoin.
No, I agree with that sentiment 100%. I think China is a lot warmer to Bitcoin than we are as a nation. I say we. Definitely more than me. I'm not anti-Bitcoin. I think there's an intrinsic value to Bitcoin, and I think that there's a place for it. I don't necessarily believe. I think I kind of, for a brief time, thought that, oh, it's going to be one of those things that goes away. But kind of viewing it as the Napster of digital assets, as Brad Garlinghouse put it. But I don't see it as a Burger King coin, or as one of these things that's not going to be a utilized digital asset in the ecospace of our new financial system.
I agree. I don't see it as something with a lot of retail utility. But honestly, what gold and silver are not retail utility.
Nope.
I mean, I'm not going out and spending silver coins and gold bars to buy a hamburger.
If I had some, I'd be worth something, right? If you had some, you'd be worth some. So yeah. So Bitcoin will hold that same type of value, I believe.
And I'm not a maximalist. I'm not a fundamental type thinker really in anything that I do. So I'm not bad Bitcoin. I hope it goes to, I own a little bit. 98% of my crypto holdings are XRP, but I do own a little Bitcoin. If it goes to 100,000 of Bitcoin, I'll happily cash in what I've got and make good use of that money buying stuff. But again, I don't have any problem with it being of value, because I don't think it's an either or thing. We've got Visa, we've got MasterCard, we've got Discover Card.
Exactly.
When you're talking, Joe,
we've got Hulu, we've got Netflix, we've got
DirecTV, Dish. Look, when you're talking about all of the money, there's plenty of room for players to be involved in getting a piece of the pie. It doesn't have to be it's no good if it is.
Yeah, that's why, even though my name is XRP Joe on YouTube, I have XLM, I have VeChain, I have Cardano, I hold precious metals. I am diversified because one of the things I learned from watching videos on the London Real series, as I mentioned before, was multiple sources of income, right?
Yes.
So I'm not going to be a maximalist on anything. That would just be it. That would just be stupid. That would be completely stupid, So, but I do, as you do, I hold the majority of my holdings are in XRP because I see the ripple net. I mean, that's just the easiest way to put it. I see the ripple net. I see the ripple net cast over this planet. Like, it reminds me of a friendly financial version of that thing in Terminator that took over the planet, with the robots that took over the planet. But this is a friendly financial version of that. How it completely just, it's gonna be everywhere.
Well, have you come across DAI's video called The Plan, and where he went over the Everest PDF? Have you seen that?
I have not. But I'm going to watch it because I'm writing that down.
You're going to love that. Well, there's a company called Everest, and Everest is owned by SBI. I think I've got this right. They are owned by SBI.
And I love SBI.
Yeah. And in 2017, Joe, they came out with a nice little 14-page PDF. And in that PDF, they talk about the history of the internet, and they show, when the dot-com boom came in, and they have a timeline of all this stuff. And then they show ILP being introduced. And on slide 13, I think it's either 12 or 13, on the left-hand side, they've got all the banks. And then in the middle, they've got XRP and the Ledger. And on the right-hand side, they got all the companies. And then on another slide, they've got a breakdown of a timeline of when all of this is going to be implemented. And they wrote that in 2017.
Okay, and so what did the timeline say?
That 2020 to 2025 is when the new ILP is going to be introduced, and it's all going to have the mass adoption. And again, you're talking about is it's about the protocol. They're giving us an entire new internet, and the entire new internet is going to be blockchain based, because the original internet that Al Gore created was not secure. When you've got a couple of goofball college professors emailing back and forth to each other, you don't need Norton and you don't need McAfee. They didn't know they needed it. So the base protocol of the entire .com internet was all flawed, not secure. Well, that's why we need the blockchain, and the blockchain protocol was gifted by Ripple to the worldwide something consortium. And they're going to be adopting it, and that's going to be our new internet protocol.
Ripple, and I don't know the details behind this, again, because it was something I didn't have a lot of time to go deep into this particular piece of information, but something about, how the internet has the HTTP?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Ripple applied for their own version of that.
Yes.
For the distributed ledger. Is this what you're talking about?
Yes. And then they gave it to the World Wide Web Consortium.
Okay, so, yes, exactly. That's insane.
Yeah. David Schwartz has invented it.
That's why I'm not selling my XRP even at $100 XRP. Okay. I'm still buying XRP even when it's $100.
And if you Google Everest, EVERIS, and then Ripple, then that 14-page PDF will come up. And if you look at DAI's video
called
The Plan, he explains it, and he got it, and the SPQR guys got it from Love for Crypto, Scott. They did a video about this exact thing about 2 years ago. And actually 3 years ago, 2017, I believe. And that was the first deep dive that Scott and the Love for Crypto guys found it. And then the SPQR guys did a deeper deep dive into it. And then DAI picked up on it. But that document is amazing. They got a timeline on exactly what it's all going to end up looking like.
That reminds me of an article I read by Acquire Market Research Group, and this was back in October of last year. October of 2019, they said in 5 years, the top 3 key most players in global finance will be IBM, Ripple, and Rubix.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know who Rubix is. I want to look them up. I keep forgetting to do that, but
let me share this with
Ripple
you.
was right there. Ripple was right there. One of the top most key players in global finance.
I can share my screen. NTT Data is also a big player in this. You'll see that when you look into it. And if you look at their videos on YouTube, it's amazing. Now, you can see my screen, right?
Yes, I can. Oh, that's great. I like that.
This is the 14-page PDF, right? And check this out. Adoption of distributed ledger technology, right? And look at this timeline. They go all the way back to the 1950s when we had first mainframe computers. And then they go all the way through, and look at this. NTT Data, good company to look into. Here's the HTTP, and Amazon's founded, eBay, Routkin, Alibaba, all the way through 2004, right? And then, Joe, look how they've extended the Internet of Value. Ripple in 2012, right?
Interledger, yep. Ripple
Interledger,
becomes the standard for
SBI,
international.
Ripple Asia. Our new friend Adam Traden is the CEO of SBI Ripple Asia. And then, I mean, this is an amazing PDF, and they created this in 2017. And check this one out, Joe. This is my favorite picture.
Oh my gosh. Okay, this is.
Hold on. Look at this one. Can you see that?
This is what you were telling me about. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we got all of our banks, all of our countries on the left. They funnel all of their interoperable currencies through the XRP Ledger. The cross-border bridge payment currency is XRP that distributes it to all the companies with the goods.
Well, can you say all the money?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
this absolutely could happen. This absolutely could happen. I mean, this is the technology is there, the asset is there, ready to roll out.
And again, Joe, if you take a look at this from the beginning, right? You take a look at this, the companies that are involved in it, SBI and NTT Data, just go look them up and find out the companies that are all involved and all are invested in these companies. R3 is here.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah. And again, Everest, right? An NTT Data company. One of the things that you're going to have a great bit of joy going through is when you go into this and look at it. And I wanted to show you one other thing. Let me share that with you real quick. You're going to love this. The videos that these guys have on their channel is unbelievable. NTT Data.
Let's read a book. Don't come behind the teacher's desk.
See this?
Yeah.
NTT Data.
Oh, they're on YouTube. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'll definitely watch those.
And you go here.
Open up your authentic career possibilities.
And look at the videos, the quality of the videos. Look, NTT Data, global payments and services driving the future. You're really going to like these guys, and the quality of the videos that they put together, and then do a little bit of a deep dive on your research to find out who owns NTT Data, the Japanese government.
Really?
Yeah. You're going to love that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and thank Love for Crypto in the beginning, and then handed it off to our SPQR team, who handed it off to one of my favorites, the digital asset investor. And amazing. And again, the thing I keep going back to in that particular document, Joe, is is Everest created it in 2017.
Yeah, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And what's happened in that 3-year time span has occurred.
Just like they had it on their timeline.
Yeah. So I can assume, or we can assume with some level of certainty that the next 3 to 5 years is going to be relatively similar to what's on that timeline.
Unless the beer cold was in their equation already, conspiracy theory, or that might quicken things up a little bit.
Sure. That could speed the timeline up if they weren't aware of the beer cold. Yeah. that could, which would be great for everybody. I mean, I think about, sure, my investments, and oh, it would be, yes, I want to, I've got exit strategies, right? With other certain ones that I'm, not viewing as long-term as XRP, but I want to start getting this done because of the wear it's doing on society,
Yeah.
The strain, not just the beer cold, but even before that. I don't deal with difficulties with my money, like I was saying before, but people that do, man, that just sucks. That
I
does.
know.
I can just imagine the quality of life difference that they're going to go through once this has been implemented.
What is the percentage of people in America that are $400 away from not being able to eat?
Oh, I would say 60 to 80. It's got to be a high number. One of the statistics is the average American is about 3 months away from homelessness under normal circumstances. When it comes to like before the beer cold, the majority of Americans do not have the savings to go unemployed for 3 months
Because we're so far in debt.
Yeah, unless they're in a state that's just going to take care of them, which there are some states that are doing that, which that's insane too.
Well, yeah, I mean, the states are broke too. That's one of the things that all the governors have been asking Trump. How about a little bailout for, coming this way too? And the one of the real sad things of all too, and I don't know if you've looked into this a great deal, but what kind of shape that the pension funds in the states are in. Illinois, right? I know right off the bat, they're pretty much insolvent in their pension for their firefighters and policemen and teachers and all that. I mean, it's just a mess. This fiat experiment where we decided to let the banks loan out 10% or 90% on their assets. If they had $1, they could loan 10, and then they loaned them out to things that didn't bring anything back. And then they did the magic. They put them into derivatives and rehypothecated it all. And now you can't let Deutsche Bank fail because Chase owns part of their assets. So if Deutsche Bank goes down, like a house of cards, they all go down. I mean, it's just.
And then they have the gall to say that crypto or digital assets are made up money.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the derivatives
banks are using made up money all day long. The banks are using money that they don't have all day long. I mean,
with these derivatives and then rehypothecating the derivative investments that they had. I mean, it's just, and none of them are going to go to jail. Jamie Dimon should be in jail.
Yep. But they're white shirts.
Yeah, white collar.
So,
Yep. Oh, they're all in the club. If you take a look at the club, hey, that's one of the knocks on, the banker coin. Hey, I'm with DAI. If it ends up $1,000 XRP, I'm cashing out. I don't care what they do. I'm going to go to the mountains of North Carolina, buy me a little cabin in the mountains with a really good television and really good internet, access to a grocery store, and the last third of my life is going to be relaxed.
Yeah.
They do with it what they want to. I'm gonna if it's gonna happen, no matter whether I approve of it or not, the least I'm gonna do for myself and my family is I'm gonna cash in on it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've got your plan.
I do. Now all I need is for them to make a $1,000 XRP and I can implement it.
Yeah. Any day now, guys.
All right. So, Joe, in closing, is there anything that you would kind of like to say? And I would also like to offer you a warm and sincere invitation to come back and do this with me again as we keep going down the road. Because I really like you. I really like your microphone, and I really like your background.
Well, thank you. I like them too. And I would love to come on again. This was a blast. Thank you so much for asking me on. I really do appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot from you. And I would, can't wait to be back on. As far as
I'm looking forward to you looking into a couple of the things that I shared with you, and then we can talk about that stuff. Because I think your jaw's gonna drop.
Yeah, I've got my notes, and I'm sure I'm going to be busy with this for the next few days. So yeah, thanks for the breadcrumbs. A lot of this I just somehow skipped past me, which, you know, I'm at work and I see these people like Galgatron.
Yeah.
I keep mentioning him, who's XR Plumber on Twitter.
Yeah.
These other folks that are just content all day long, and I'm getting these notifications on my smartwatch, and I'm trying not to pull out my phone too much, you know.
Yeah.
And then I want to, you know, put, you know, these videos together and connect with the community, which, you know, again, thank you so much for having me on, because this connection, I think that we'll build a long-term relationship here where we can, you know, benefit each other through this, you know, journey that we're going through here. And in closing, I do want to stress that everybody look out for one another. I still see a lot of, I don't know if it's a lack of education on the current situation or if it's just complete inconsideration about the current situation. But when I'm at work and when I'm out there on what they call the front lines, I feel weird saying that because I work in a grocery store. I don't necessarily view that as a front line, but I'm encountering a lot of people that whether they believe that, you know, these current events are true or not, some people do, right? And my wife, in fact, is high risk in 3 categories. She has an aortic aneurysm. So she's on very close watch with a team from Stanford University for a heart condition. She's type 1 diabetic. So she's insulin dependent, which if you get this current thing that's going on, if you get the beer cold, one of the things I've heard is you cannot control your insulin. And then she has an autoimmune disease that she lives with. So I go to work every day and I'm encountering people that I don't feel that are looking out for me while I'm looking out for them. I'm wearing a mask to protect them. I'm actually, I honestly believe I'm experiencing the beginnings, stages of what's called hypercapnia, which is when you breathe in too much of your own CO2. And I'm wearing a mask for 40 hours a week. Some surgeons don't wear a mask for 40 hours a week. A lot of the other, and everyone in the medical industry now, everybody who's on the front lines, they're now wearing these masks. We may start to see effects of drowsiness, confusion in some people, just, you know, a real lethargic kind of, you know, way of being, because we're all breathing in all this carbon dioxide. But back to, I kind of sidestep there, but back to my point of, you know, looking out for one another. You know, just keep in mind that, you know, this thing's not necessarily over, and even after it's over, we still need to look out for each other. You know, I'm still seeing a larger level of inconsideration than I think I would want to see in a group of people that I have to encounter every day, which is society, right? One of the things I'm excited about the XRP community is we're going to be the new 1%.
Yep.
You're a great dude, Scott. I am so happy to find out that you're going to be one of the new wealthy people on this planet, right? Okay.
I feel
DAI, he's going to be one of the new 1%, right? And that seeing the possibility of a new planet, you know, with a different structure of wealthy, you know. But it kind of starts from the bottom at the same time. You know, it comes down from the top, sure. Like, you know, sometimes everything seems like it's crap, but because we're controlled by a bunch of people that are crap, you know, we're under a system that's run by a bunch of crappy people. So sometimes things seem crappy. Well, we can kind of start that change within our own communities and start looking out for one another a little bit more. I think that would be really good. So that's kind of my closing hopes.
And having said that, I believe that we're going through, personally, the way that I look at everything, we're going through an evolution of consciousness on the planet. We started out with a reptilian brain. All we could do was reproduce and eat.
Yes,
right?
I agree 100%.
And then the next thing that happened is we got the second part of the brain. And guess what? Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yes.
But
Industry.
monetarily, Joe, we were still competing for resources, but we live in an abundant universe. We don't have to compete. There's plenty. So
Yes.
Allie, more of our professional production here. The dog is barking.
I've got
Allie
a little one. I've got a little one like that too, named Wrangler.
And so I believe what's happening now is that now we've got this frontal lobe and we're beginning to think out of it and begin to get use out of it. And I think that what's going to end up happening is we're going to shift in humanity from a model of competing more so to one of cooperation.
Yes, yes, exactly. You are absolutely, well, I'm on the same page as you. I am right there on the same page as you.
That's why I'm glad I met you, and I'm glad that we're going to be one of the 1%ers together, because I believe if we can make good connections with enough of the people in our XRP community, that we can make a big difference once, you know, we have got means to be able to do some projects together where we can do some good.
Yeah, some big positive changes. Absolutely.
Yep. Yes.
That's one of the things I'm looking forward to most. And that's why I say I want them to just roll this out, not because I want to cash out and because I want to be rich, but because this planet needs to change for the better. And this technology is going to do it. So that's where my anticipation and impatience lies, is come on, just get this going, because there's people that are suffering because it's not going.
Yep.
Yeah.
And again, we live in an abundant universe. There is enough for everybody. We need to learn how to give more and to share more to take care of everybody, because the competing monetary mindset, no matter how you cut it, we got 97% of the people only got 3% of the money. Well, that's backwards. I mean, there's enough that we should share to at least, good God, make sure at least there's not anybody on the planet that is dying from starvation. Well, I mean, that is just, and not having any water. Let's get this whole thing all connected up together, the world, and get everybody with the ability to join the monetary system on their phone and get out of this central banking thing where we've got a few greedy people with most of the money.
Exactly. Yeah. Very well said, Scott. Very well said.
All right. Well, listen, I'd like to thank you again for being here. I look forward to us getting back together and discussing our progression in the evolution of consciousness.
That would be a fantastic conversation. In fact, I would like to talk to you about ancient history sometime too. So yeah, we definitely have to get back together again.
I'm not very tall. I'm not the smartest guy, but I've got two things that I consider to be qualities. Number one is I'm incurably curious, and I'm a very persistent little booger. So
you forgot to mention good looking, Scott.
Oh yeah, I've been told that I have a voice for television and a face for radio.
I think I've been told the same thing. Yeah.
All right. Well, again, a deep thank you for being here, and I very much look forward to continuing our conversation.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome, and everyone in XRP land, live long and hodl. We love you.
Yep. Yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah.